Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game. It's just finished. West Ham 1, Swansea 0. Gonzo, are you a happy hammer, a concerned hammer, a pissed off hammer?
A sort of relieved hammer. I feel like I've been let out of prison, so I'm relieved to be escaped from the jail, but I shouldn't have been put in there in the first place, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a confused one. I mean, it's sort of, we get the 3 points, but I don't think the results does anyone any favours, really. It sort of keeps Bilic here, but when you look at the game, it was sort of, I don't know. Well, let's talk about the game. For the first 89 minutes, let's just go straight to that.
Break it down. We want to break it down.
Well, okay, the first half. I think that was one of the worst halves of football I've seen us play in a long, long time.
It was atrocious. We were watching it. Tony was sat next to me. We were discussing whether this one or Hull was the worst. It was one of those sort of insipid performances where we weren't doing anything. I was confident going into that. I thought we were going to attack them. And the first couple of minutes, it looked like we were going for it. Then it just sort of halted and we had no sort of purpose at all.
Oh, we let them have the ball. We let them play it about. Sanchez has been poor for Swansea. He had a terrible year at Bayern Munich. The geezer was swinging his dick about in the middle of the pitch there. Chianti and Noble were just watching him the whole time. He had so much... I couldn't believe how much respect they gave to... I know he's touted as potentially one of Europe's best players, but at the end of the day, he's a Premier League midfielder for Swansea City tonight, and we gave him so much respect. I honestly thought Tony Kroos was in midfield for Swansea. We stood off him that much. But the players, they're not even playing as a team, and they're not even playing as an individual.
I'm not even sure they gave him respect. I just think they were useless. I think saying that they gave Sanchez respect would almost indicate that they had a tactical awareness of who they were playing against. I don't think they had a Scooby-Doo. I just don't know what was going on. That midfield was... I don't want to just highlight the midfield, by the way. I think more or less the whole team, apart from the defence, was pretty damn poor. There was no sense of purpose going forward, as I say.
The problem was they had 3 in the middle. They had Fer, they had Carroll, and they had Sanchez, and we only had Chianti and Noble. But Ayew and Antonio didn't seem to know if they were supposed to tuck in or if Creswell was supposed to... No one knew who was meant to get the third midfielder, so nobody just took the third midfielder and they just let him move about the pitch. But that first half was... It was bad, that first... It was really, really bad. Bar the first 3 minutes, we were putting a couple of crosses. But, you know, the second half, Carroll hit the bar. He missed... I wouldn't call it a sitter. He was on the stretch, but...
Yes.
Bar that, though, we still didn't offer much at all.
No, and you talk about him hitting the bar. That was very late in the half as well. So, I mean, actually, you're talking about the first 20, 25 minutes of that second half, when you would imagine that Bilic had taken him into the changing rooms and Bilic would have said, you need to do this, this and this, you need to do this tactically, as well as giving him the tactical plan. He would have said to him something motivational to get them G'd up, that they would then come out. Well, they didn't. They came out in very much the same vein. He's going to come out with it, which you'll get onto in a second, that the substitutions worked. But why did we have to do that? Why did it not change in the second half?
Well, the substitutions were sort of controversial, if you like. But before that, I'm skipping ahead of some of the subs. A couple of players on bookings, Chianti and Carroll. Do you think either of them should have been sent off? I mean, Chianti went in hard on someone. It was a free kick, and then Carroll clattered Fabianski when he was on a booking. I thought that referee was one of the worst refereeing performances I've seen in a long time. He gave us nothing. But I thought maybe I was expecting to brandish a second yellow for those 2 players because I thought he was waiting for it to happen. But that referee was just... You know, he didn't stop. He's not the reason we played crap. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying if he was better, we would have been better. No, but I thought he was just... He fucking shite.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying. The 2 individual incidents, I'd be lying if I tried to comment on them. I didn't see them. Perhaps my view was too bad. Perhaps I was just whinging about the overall play at the time, but the referee was very, very poor.
The reason I asked about those incidents is because Bilic left both those players on and took off their partners, Noble, first for Lanzini. I mean, he's our only player that can take the ball, apart from Zabaleta, but he's a right back. He's the only player that can take the ball from our defensive third into the final third.
Who is?
Lanzini.
Right, oh yeah, absolutely. When the substitutions were made, certainly the vibe in the crowd was not complimentary towards Bilic leaving Carroll on. That was that was definitely. I mean, it was. Let's not muck around. There were boos in that stadium today. Oh, hello. Hello. That's the worst. That's the worst the Swans have had it today. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I just don't think it was particularly clever, really, what was going on. And the two individual incidents, I don't know, but I just think he got the substitutions. He's going to say that he got them right, but it is papering over the cracks.
I was going to say, did he get them right or did he get them lucky?
Very, very lucky. He's a lucky manager today. That performance was so bad that had that have even been a draw, I think he might have got the sack.
I thought the subs were obvious though. Lanzini was coming on, it had to be Chiati or Noble. He had a 50-50 choice and he took off Noble. He could have easily took off Chiati in my eyes because he was on the booking. I don't think either of them were performing that well. Masuaku coming on for Ayew was obvious because Ayew was getting booed pretty much every time. Before he got taken off, he was getting booed. I mean, so Masuaku was obvious to come on because he'd been contributing to us scoring goals recently. The only one that was controversial in my eyes was which striker to bring off. I mean, did he get it right or did he just get lucky? I mean,
both. He got it right and he got lucky, and he got it right because he got lucky. But I tell you what, it was bloody close to it being wrong. So there you go, you got all three answers. But I'm not sitting on the fence because at the time I thought, well, this is the wrong. Why are you still leaving Carroll on the pitch? Because even when he brought Lanzini on, as you say, as the guy that can carry the ball from the defence through the midfield and sort of convert defence to attack, they still started lumping it long to Carroll. And yes, Carroll hit the bar, but almost it was almost a hindrance that he did hit the bar. He didn't need to score or miss wildly. He's got big tactical problems. And when people say papering over the cracks, let's make no mistake about it. Papering over the cracks means that if he goes for those same tactics again, we're gonna suffer.
I don't think he's papering over cracks. I think he's papering over a great big deep hole. I think it's worse than a crack, to be honest. I don't think there's any wall left, to be honest. If you push the wallpaper, there's nothing there. I don't know. I mean, we literally turned up for 90 seconds and somehow won the game. I mean, do you think we deserved the win at all?
Not in the least. Not in the least. I was coming down here, we'll talk about man of the match if you want. I was deciding whether it was Zabaleta or Winston Reid. That's how poor we were. There was not in any point during my mind did I think it was one of our wingers or did I think it was a forward or a midfielder. It was one of our defenders. And that from a team who, whilst they've been keeping a lot of clean sheets, it has been Fabianski who has been keeping them in games recently. Their defence is ponderous, their defence is slow, but we never really tested it.
But we didn't deserve to lose, I don't think. I think a draw would have been fair, but purely because two teams were crap. I think it was a bit like the West Brom game. Two teams are just that bad. 0-0 is sort of the right result. No one deserves to score type thing.
No, but we set up like an away team today and we're in our home stadium. And that's what bothered me. I thought, why on earth are we playing this sucking up, counter-attacking sort of thing? Where was the adventure? Where was the purpose? Where was the will and the fight for a manager thinking, hold on, I want to keep my job here, I'm really going to go for it? We did. We played defensive away team football.
I think the adventure was sitting on the bench for the first hour of the game. I mean, he's unfortunately the only adventure we've got. I mean, the first 11 on paper looks attacking. You've got Ayew and Antonio who are attacking players. You've got two strikers playing up front together as a pairing finally, which they didn't really work. They didn't really show any sort of potential that it could work. There's nothing there from Carroll and Hernandez. I don't see any chemistry between the two of them. I don't see Hernandez running in behind when Carroll goes up for the ball. If anything, Hernandez is the other side of Carroll waiting for the defender to win it almost, and Antonio's the one making the runs. There's no chemistry between those two. I've seen more chemistry between Carroll and Sakho in the last 10 minutes than I did between Hernandez and Carroll for the first 80, and that's concerning. We need a way of... Hernandez is our best striker. We need to find a way of getting the best out of him, not the best out of Andy Carroll. And I think, unfortunately, Sakho's getting the best out of Carroll. It ponders a lot of questions. I keep saying this, but we get more questions than answers, and we've done it again today. Do you think he should still be sacked despite winning?
Yes. I mean, that's the thing. Just your last subject there was about Hernandez. I think it's absolute madness to covet and want a striker for 2 years, which is what he says. He says he's wanted Hernandez for 2 years, yet you want somebody that badly, yet don't have a clue how to deploy them or how to utilise them in their best position. I think it's absolute madness. What it does, that's not the big picture or the biggest picture, but what it is, it's just a slight, small insight into his thinking. If he can't decide how best to utilise the striker he's wanted for ages, how can we expect him to know how to utilise the right wing or the left wing or the right back, the centre or anything like that? I've got to say, and I was saying it on the vlog, which won't be particularly pleasant, I do want him gone.
Yeah, I struggle to see. I think it's just a case of when now, not if. But the problem is we've got winnable. It's not a problem, I suppose. We could get points. We've got winnable fixtures coming up. So if he gets enough points on the board, he sort of gives himself another month, another two, and before we know it, we're in May, finished 12th in the season. We've gone out of the cups, and it's just another season written off again. It's just a shame. But hopefully, maybe there's a twist with this 10% being bought by an American billionaire, essentially. Maybe there's a twist to come in January or something. We'll find out. We'll discuss that in the next cup of tea. But what's your final thoughts on the game then?
Boring. Really boring. We walk out of there relieved, but I should walk out of there ecstatic. And I don't walk out of there ecstatic at all. And it's not just me. There's not people walking out there high-fiving and having a right old jolly up. People are walking out there relieved, and it's not what we should be doing for our home games. We understood the first season, transitional season. We want a little bit better than that. So I'm relieved. Do I look forward to the next game? Possibly not. I'm worried for the next game. After a win, you should be positive for the next game. Actually, the next game I'm worried about.
It doesn't feel like a win. It doesn't feel like a win. I mean, when we scored, we celebrated, and it was like we scored in a flipping final. That's how desperate it's got now. It's got that desperate. But at the end, when the bubbles come on, nobody sang. Where we were, I was on the lower tier of the East Stand today. Everybody was sort of clapping the players when they were doing the handshake. The players turned their backs and just went. The players turned their backs on the van. I think Zabaleta was the only one to sort of make an effort to applaud the fans. From where we were, it didn't look like. I don't really blame them. We were booing them for 70 minutes. I mean, why would you say thank you for your booing for the last 70 minutes? We appreciate that. So, but it's bad when players and fans disconnect. Fans and a manager, fans and an owner, you can sort of. But the players and the fans need one another for support, in atmosphere, etc. And when that goes, that's when it gets concerning, and that's what concerns me about today. But anyway, that's it from us. Gonzo's vlog will be up on the channel tomorrow, so make sure you check that out. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Put all your comments down below, what you thought of the game, what you thought if Bullets should still go, which I think most of you are going to say yes. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and we'll see you later.